G'day folks. Well, I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep, so it was Saturday morning here. So it's, what are we talking now, 6:32 in the morning, so I thought I'd come over and do a video. And yeah, sorry I haven't put one up sooner guys, I've just been busy all this week, working. Bloody work, I tell you now, I'd love to retire, I really would, but unfortunately we can't do it, and we've got to sort of keep the money coming in, and yeah, life goes on guys, it just goes on. And you know, I've got people sort of wanting stuff doing, and we've just got to do it, simple as that. So haven't had much chance to do anything at all for this, but I have got parts for it, so which is good. So I just want to show you guys what I've actually been doing this week. Well, first off, this shed it's going on about 14 years old, and it's actually there's no bolts in it holding it together, except for the dyno bolts going through to through the plates into the slab. But as far as the construction of it, it's all welded. It's something I don't normally do. I only did this because I wanted to sort of do something a bit more custom. The trouble is, when you go buying sheds, yeah, it's all bolt together, but it's basically a kit, and you're sort of limited to really what you want or what you can get. And so this is sort of a custom design. So I got an engineer to sort of draw up the design on what had to be used for material and whatnot, and it's all welded. So now my welding sort of skill was being called on again to build like a three-sided skillion roof, sort of a machinery shed, 10 metres wide and 6 metres deep, 3.6 high at the high point down to 3 metres, and yeah, it's all welded. It's out of galvanised C-section. So there's my boy up there. So we've sort of got it pretty much ready to clad for iron. I'm actually going to put some cross bracing in it to stiffen it up a little bit more. But it's all welded guys, there's no bolts in it whatsoever. So it's a slow process, but it means you can custom build whatever you want really. You've got to have a bit of an understanding of sizings and strengths for steel. But yeah, it's amazing what you can perform and how strong it is. Like, that's got no cross bracing at the back of it, and it's just so rigid. It's amazing. I love it. For the they're only in post holes. We went down fairly deep, 600, 450 square on the sort of the back half, and the front we went down sort of 1 metre. And he had some old grader blades we cut and used for base plates. So we had them, oh geez, that's bloody nearly 20 mil thick, that stuff too. So, and they're huge lengths, and sort of poke down into the concrete with spikes welded off them so they don't pull out, you know, for strength and that. And so he's got an incredibly strong base plate to weld off to, and that's amazing, it's really strong. So we've been fiddling around with that all week, and yes, well, it's kept him happy, which is the main thing, because he's got a really nice tractor he's sort of doing up, and he wants to sort of keep it in for the winter. So I don't mind doing stuff like that for him. He's a really nice dude too, so yeah. Alright folks, well, I've got my head gaskets have turned up, Felpro Blues. I've got an extra set just in case, or for when I actually build this one. So they're a terrific head gasket, you know guys. So if you don't want to run an MLS or a steel gasket, multi-load steel one, these are the next best things, in my opinion. I think they're a terrific head gasket. They're not an extreme sort of composite one, but sort of middle of the range. But like I said, if everything's fine, in my book, I don't go popping head gaskets. I'll show you this too, guys. These are the header pipe gaskets I use. They're ProFlow. they're only Chinese bloody things, but they're not a bad little gasket. And look at the ports, how they're really nice big open design on them. So you get really no restriction, good flow, and they're not that expensive. And I've had a good run with them, guys. I only use them the once. I don't reuse them for that reason, because the turbos will boost, and that is incredibly well, you get a lot of heat, you know, and it works on things. And see that, it just sort of splits them apart. That'd be over 12 months old, so it hasn't done a bad job. But if you're looking for a really, you know, reasonable quality header pipe gasket, they're the ones. VPW supply them. So ProFlow, that's what they call themselves. It's sort of a brand. They make a lot of other stuff. So I have good run. $11, I think they were a set. So that's that. Oh, I'll show you one other thing, guys. I did something that I said I wasn't going to do, and I went ahead and did it. And I'll show you guys. I've put my Z221s on my GDS rims. Now these are only, guys, a temporary measure. I have got some other rims picked out that I'm actually going to buy, well, probably in the next few months. They're not cheap, so I've got to sort of save the money up. But for now, I thought I'll just run these. We're not going to go crazy on the track and push the extreme. Be mindful that these rims, in my opinion, are really not designed for what they're intended to, for racing. But just for some light duty circuit work, just for now, I think we'll try these out and just see how they run and keep a close eye on them. But God, don't they look nice? 255 40 17s. Fantastic. I love them. So we're going to test these next time we take it out, guys. Hopefully, fingers crossed, within the week I can get the car going again, the engine, and maybe a couple of weeks I can get down to a private test day at Simmons and give them a bit of a shakedown and see how they sort of perform. No, they're brilliant. I'm glad I did that in the finish. Mounted them on. And I'll make a mention too, a Crowd Bridgestone Select. Put the tyres on the rims. Never put a mark on them. Unbelievable. I had another Crowd do some rims, swap one tyre over and sort of put a bit of a mark in it. And these sort of rims, you've got to be very careful with them, and they're very experienced. They deal in a lot of race tyre fitments and balancing, and so they were awesome. I can't sort of spruik them enough, really. And now I'll show you too. These are the rims I'm actually going to buy off the same Crowd, and I'll show you the ones I've got my eyes set on. These ones here, guys. They're a US made, and they're an Indy, US Indy. We can get them in a 17x9 or a 17x10. So I'm probably thinking 9's up the fronts and 10's out the back. And the picture there, see that's a 15x9, so it's got a nice dish to it. So that'll be awesome. Not cheap, not cheap, but they're a one-piece rim, forged, so a lot stronger than what these ones are. So yes, I think they'll look really nice. I've always loved US Indies, guys. I think they're in keeping with the old school muscle theme. So very nice. All right, I'll show you what I've been going, or what I'm going to do to my Dreamliner, guys. I'm actually in the throes of putting some carpet squares and flooring out the trailer with it. So it gets slippery in here. When you get wet boots on that rubber, it's actually quite slippery. And then when you're loading the car up and you've got all them little stones that flick off your tyres, you know, from the track, it just makes a mess. So I thought, no, I always wanted to do it, and I've got some, yeah, they're metre by metre squares, and it's got a nice thick rubber back on it, so I'll be able to sort of stick it down with some carpet and cork adhesive. So, wow, I think it's going to look nice. I'm going to do around the edges too, guys, on the white. I've got 12 squares, so I should have enough to do it. I worked it out. So yes, that'll be very nice. Spoiling the car. Oh dear. While I'm at it, let's go for a walk in the other part of the shed, and I'll give you a little update on the Hilux. It's not an official update. It's sort of just a little sneak peek. I'll do an official one when we bring my ute down and pull the motor out and mock it up, and that'll be probably part 3. But this is just a little quick check over and show you guys what the young fella's been up to. So we've pulled the engine out, he's cleaned it all up, we've pulled the 2 front guards off it. The reason for that, this one here was all crinkled up in the corner, and the other side had a snorkel hole in it, so you can get the repo guards for them, reproduction ones, only about $120 each. So a couple of fresh guards on the front, later down the track, and he wants to paint it. So we're going to repaint it, and he wants to paint it blue. So he's just got it in his mind, he wants to go blue. So yeah, I think it'll look quite nice when it's all sort of all the one colour again, because it's always had that other guard on it, was a repo guard, and because it was quite badly damaged. And yeah, I've seen actually a couple of other Hiluxes getting around, well, that's where he got the idea from, and they look really nice in blue. Anyway, he's going to we'll end up building like a comp tray, they call it, just a small little tray, and we're going to mount the turbo above the tray, so there'll be a box, a nice big aluminum box mounted to the back of it, and then in the box will be the turbo. So we're actually going to mount it up inside the box, keep it up out of the way, and I think it'll look really nice, and it sort of just keeps it sort of a bit hidden and keeps it out of harm's way. And then we can fabricate, exhaust systems coming up into it, and the wastegate, and have the scavenge pump set up in there, and it's all sort of tucked in there nicely and easy to work on too. So, and we'll vent the box, so we're getting a bit of airflow through it, and it'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing. So that's what he's been up to, guys. We're going to like I said, pull my ute down in a couple of weeks, and we'll have the engine mocked up to the gearbox. So we've mounted the bell housing. This is a Trimatic pattern bell housing, so it's an early model Holden V8. The later model Holden V8s went to a turbo Hydromatic bolt pattern. So yeah, we'll be able to just mock that up with the flywheel and see if the spline sort of matches up, or the spline matches into the spigot. Just check it all for clearances and depths, and then we can do a mock-up of it in the Hilux. So yeah, exciting times. This is going to make it a lot easier to work on too, guys, with the guards off it. So we'll be able to fabricate stuff and just work out what's going on, and yeah, simplify things, and we'll go from there, guys. I think it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, he's working on it. He's getting there. So exciting times for the young fella. That's the young fella's laundry, washing. He's moved into over here, or in past that wall there. There's an actual a decent sized room that the young fella is living in at the minute. It's all lined out and carpeted, and there's a shower, toilet. We were living in there when we built the house, so it's been a handy thing. My eldest son lived in there for 12 months or so before he moved on, and my young fella's doing the same now, so it's nice. It gives him a bit of independence, a transition from the house to to the shed, and then from the shed, you know, maybe one day they move on and find their own place. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I might head back over and have a coffee and start the day. Yeah, God, it's got cold here, folks. It's just yesterday. It's all turned. It's just winter's not far around the corner, and I'm glad I got that little fire in. I gave it a test there the other day. It was fantastic. So I'm excited about that. I loved it. Yeah, I'm just blown away that the clients couple that I did some work for that kindly let me have that, and yeah, they're great people. They really are. All right, guys. Well, I'll put one up soon when I get sort of a bit more progress on this. Now that I've got my bits, I'll start cleaning things up, and we'll move on with it. So I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about, because I've actually went and bought another Holden alloy standard volume pump. So we'll do a little vid in the next couple of days. I'll talk about the little modifications I want to do to this pump. Just go that little step further with it. I've sort of been looking, and I've learned a few other little things that I reckon will really help just with the flow to complement the 355 stroker block, because I am going to sort of fairly, well, they're not extreme mods, but you know, there's a little bit involved in it, and if we can get a little bit more flow out of these standard volumes to complement the oiling modifications I've done to this block, we're going to have ultimate reliability and durability. So that's what it's all about, guys, because we've spent a lot of money on our engines and components and all our bits and pieces and time, but we don't want it to end in tears, and we want to maximise our reliability, and at the end of the day, not waste money. That's what it's all about, guys, and learn. All right, folks, well, enough of my babbling. I'll put one up soon. Catch you later.